2 days ago, I published this video that has appeared on the screen where I said studying chess openings alone won't make you improve your gameplay. But today, I want to surprise you with a different reality. Studying chess openings is very important and necessary for your chess improvement process. I'm sorry to say, if you don't study chess openings, you will never go very far in chess because chess will be draining your mental energy. Am I contradicting myself, or is this too confusing? Watch and learn. At the end of this video, that's when everything will now make sense. Now, the real question that begs to be answered later in the video is when to study chess openings. But first, let's start with this. Which openings do I think are suitable for beginners and intermediate level players? Well, first, it depends. I love open games and aggressive openings. For beginners and intermediate level players, my top recommendation will always be the Italian, which I'm going to show you, and secondly, the Scotch Gambit. Why? I'll give my own reasons. First, let me show you something. Do this if you're an average player. Pawn to e4, most of your opponents are going to play e5. So now this is me giving you some opening tips in the Italian before I share the reasons as to why studying chess openings is important. There's one opening principle that states develop knights first before bishops. This is for beginners and intermediate level players. So do that and always ensure that your knights are developed towards the center of the board. Do not develop your knights on the edges. Don't develop your knight at the edge of the board. Knight f3 also attacks the pawn on e5. This is why most people play knight c6. You can see what both parties are doing, attacking and defending at the same time. If I was to recommend another opening, I would say the 4 knights opening that involves the queen's knight out. But speaking of the Italian, you have to go bishop c4 first. And most of your opponents are going to copy you by developing their dark squad bishop as well. Knight f6 was also playable, but we'll talk about that later. So this line alone with bishop c5 is called the Gioco piano. If you want to specialize in this type of opening, you just need to type how to play the Gioco piano on Google or on YouTube. Many videos are going to come. Now, remember what you are doing in the opening stage is developing the minor pieces, which are the knights and the bishops. Whatever way or method you use to develop this is up to you, but just ensure that they are all being developed towards the center of the board. This is the center of the board. If I were you, I would play a move like pawn to here, also paving the way for the dark squad bishop. That's optional, but I just love starting with the knights first. You know, knights gain more control on the center of the board. Look at this knight. It's targeting the d5 square, not allowing black to play moves like pawn to d5 anytime soon. So this is a simple repertoire for beginners out there. Most likely, your opponents are going to develop their king's knight as well. Position is very symmetrical, as you can see. Another point you want to jot down is never to rush with castling short, especially if you are playing white pieces. Wait for your opponent to castle short. But anyway, that's not a prerequisite. It's not a blunder to castle short. Even now, it's fine, but that's just my style of playing. So in this case, I would play pawn to d3, completing my development. And if you check the Lichess database, you're going to see most people play pawn to d6. Now, hold on. Point number 1, I said develop your knights first before developing your bishops. Have you seen how chess is playing itself by following these opening principles? At this point, there are no any crazy traps. See, the opening stage is like the first 10 opening moves of every game. What you're trying to do in the opening is simply developing your minor pieces, which are these pieces highlighted on the board, except for the queen and the 2 rooks. Rooks and queen are referred to as major pieces. Those are your bosses. Let them be developed last. Anywho, at this point, you may even consider developing your dark squad bishop out. And why developing it on g5? Why not on d2 or on e3 or on f4? This is how you get rid of blunders. Beginners, don't just make moves, think. Bishop d2 is playable, but maybe that will block the vision of your queen. You want your pieces to be well coordinated and to be free. Bishop e3 is playable, but think of your opponent's threats as well, not just your moves. What if they take? They are going to make you double up your pawns like that, and maybe that will allow for other follow-ups and weaknesses in in chess, you want to avoid doubled pawns. So playing bishop e3 will make your opponent double up your pawns along the e file. Although, as you advance or as you progress in chess, you will come across a challenging concept known as the superseding concept, which allows strong players to break the rules. So if you see Magnus playing bishop e3, it's because he is qualified to play garbage that he can fix along the way because he understands chess. But anywho, as a beginner, you just want to play it safe. Bishop g5 pins black's knight to the queen. This is a simple opening repertoire I'm giving you for free. Black cannot move their knight because they are going to lose their queen. And I'll show you what to do if they play an attacking move like h6. For now, let's just focus on developing moves. If opponent doesn't do anything, you just want to develop your queen either on d2 or on e2. Remember, that's why we couldn't put our dark squad bishop on d2. We wanted our queen to be free. So our queen can go to d2 if we so wish, or just place it on e2. And once we do that, we'll just ensure to put our king to safety. Mostly, we prefer castling short than castling long, although that also works. I mean, that's just how complicated chess can be. Once you play those last two moves, then it is safe to say your opening stage is over. So how do you know the opening stage is over? When all your minor pieces are developed, fully developed on their potential squares, all targeting something. And lastly, your two rooks must face each other. They must be able to see each other. So after we castle short and play queen d2 or queen e2, our rooks will have to see each other. So that's a clear indication that we are done with the opening stage. From there, you're now going to enter the middle game where planning becomes crucial. At this stage of the game, we were not thinking, we were just playing book moves. So that's all about the opening. It's just basically the first 10 opening moves. But anyway, let me just show you what most people do. I personally call this the bishop g5 Italian, or the kernel variation. What most people do after bishop g5 is playing pawn to h6, trying to chase your dark squad bishop away. And this is where opening tricks fall in. The moment you see your opponent start playing attacking chess, like, these kinds of moves, pawn to h6, it is high time you stretch your neck, zoom in your eyeballs, and realize that it is time to start looking for attacking moves. So there's time for everything. Time to develop peacefully, time to defend, and time to attack. When do you attack? Point number 3, you only start thinking of attacking when your enemy's pieces or your opponent's pieces begin to come in contact with your pieces. When they start meeting, when there are some direct threats on the board. So pawn to h6 is a direct threat. You want to attack black like this. This attacks the queen, and if they take, there are some contacts happening on the board. If you think about it, bishop g4 is about to come. You can play pawn to h3, that's cool, but if I were you, I would consider playing knight d5, making use of another opening principle that says opponents should not develop their queen too early in the game. It becomes a subject of attack. The queen can be so weak in the opening due to these kinds of attacks. So the only safe square for black is to go back, queen d8. If they play queen g6, I will take on c7, that will be check, and I will win the rook. So they have to go back, and after that, I can castle short if I want. Again, many options. I can play pawn to h3, I can play queen d2 or queen e2, that's if I want. But speaking of attacking chess and opening tricks, here is a line for you in the Italian, you guys. In this exact position, play pawn to c3. This is theoretically correct. How do I know? Because I read one opening book on the Italian game which covered this line. Remember, we are still talking about the importance of studying chess openings. So I have already studied this line over and over, and I've watched some YouTube videos covering this line as well. So it is high time for you to master it as well. You have no option but to memorize an opening, to know it by heart. We memorize openings. Yes, till we know them by heart. So here I have memorized to go pawn to c3. And it's easy to memorize the first 10 moves of the game, so it's not much of a stretch. Anywho, after pawn to c3, all I know is opponents should never in their lifetime play bishop e6. That will be a blunder. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm talking about is this. Check what is happening in the Lichess database. Bishop e6 is the top played move, yet it is a blunder and people don't know. It is a long-term positional mistake. Bishop e6. If somebody plays this move, remember to go pawn to d4. So this is a simple opening repertoire. Once again, it's an opening study for you guys, beginners, intermediate level players, and maybe average players. Point is, again, if they take on d4 with their pawn, you just take back like that. They'll play bishop b4. That's what we see on leeches, right? Bishop b4 check. And now this, ladies and gentlemen, is when you can surprise them with the move knight takes b4. And what do we see? They usually take back with the knight, which is another mistake. Why? Due to queen a4 check. These kinds of moves, we call them tricks or traps to win some free materials. Here, the knight is dead. If not the knight, we are going to win the bishop, because we can just play pawn to d5. Look at this. There's nothing black can do to save a piece in this position. They have to give up material. And chess works like mathematics. 1 + 1 = 2. 3 is greater than 1. Each one of these pieces you see on the board have their values attached to them. So if I win a free knight in chess, or a free bishop, or let me just say a free piece, that's a big deal. But I still have to work for my meal by converting the position into a winning one until my opponent resigns. That'll be explained later in the middle game. Okay, so let's say, what if black takes the last squad bishop instead of taking the knight as we saw earlier? If they do this, again, we can just take the knight. See, our knight is attacking black's queen, so they take back like this. And now, to claim a small advantage, we go queen c2. This is all part of the opening study. We are attacking the last squad bishop. If black plays bishop s6 to move away from danger, well, we have queen takes c6 check. We are going to win a free bishop or a free piece. If black plays bishop e6, as they do, again, we have queen takes. This comes with check. They can't even block with their queen due to queen takes a8. So that's just a simple opening study for you guys in the Italian. If you want to know more about that, just type on YouTube Italian opening ideas. Maybe include KaspaChess. All my Italian opening tutorial videos will pop up. Say KaspaChess Italian opening. You will see a lot of my videos that will come, and start studying those. Create your own databases. Study as many tricks as you can. For me to be where I am, let me be honest with you guys, I never ever studied an opening repertoire in full. No. In my early days, I only used to study chess opening traps and tricks. Like traps in the Italian opening, traps in the Scotch Gambit, traps in the what? Traps in this, traps in the rat defense, traps in the Sicilian, traps in the Caro-Kann defense. By studying those traps in the process, I was even learning the openings themselves without even me realizing that. You see what I'm trying to do? So sometimes if you feel lazy to study chess openings, just start looking for some beautiful traps in those openings. Study opening traps in the openings that you want to specialize in. If you want to specialize in the Italian opening, like the one that I just showed you, just go on YouTube or on internet, Chessable, whatever source you trust, and type opening traps or opening tricks in the -- opening traps in the Italian. Then study all of those traps, memorize them. In the process, you will be learning that specific opening indirectly, maybe without even you realizing it. That's how we learn openings. Another opening I would recommend for average players and beginners is the Scotch Gambit. This begins as follows: e4, e5, you go knight f3 immediately, and after knight c6, instead of developing your last squad bishop first, you remember to go pawn to d4. This is called the Scotch game. The moment black captures that free pawn, you don't take back, because that will become the Scotch game. You play bishop c4. This now becomes the Scotch Gambit, because black has an option to hold on to their extra pawn, like this. So this is now move number 4 of the Scotch Gambit. And one little surprise you may study from here is this pawn to c3 line, kind of giving up a pawn as if you want to take it back with the knight, but in reality you just want to make your opponent lose their right to castle. Because when opponent's king moves once, they can never castle. Here, instead of playing knight g5, which would be a blunder obviously, you now go queen d5 check. You just want to get back your piece, the piece that you sacrificed earlier. When the king goes back, let's say to e8, you even have time to flex a little bit instead of capturing right away, which is okay. You can even play queen h5 check. Why? Because you want to provoke a weakness like this, opening up these lines. where the rook becomes vulnerable, and then you go queen takes c5. So in chess, there are what we call good moves, candidate moves, and best moves. You see, taking on c5, even in this position after king e8 was okay. That was going to be a good move, like queen takes c5. That was going to be a good move. But a better move, or the best move, is queen h5 here. Why? Because we are up to something. That is already a dead piece. After g6, that's when we were able to take like that. At least we achieved something. And this makes sense. Just in case black tries to be more aggressive and takes our b2 pawn, well, this bishop takes comes with tempo. Look at that. So sometimes in chess, we are okay to sacrifice material if that is going to make our pieces fully developed. So whenever you sacrifice material, just know that quick development is the idea. What I'm talking about is this. Look at black's position. The only piece that is fully developed is the knight. And how many pieces do we have developed? Almost all of our minor pieces. This knight on b1 is technically developed. It has more room, many squares to go to. Just one step away from developing the a rook. We can castle short, even though we are down by 2 pawns. So in positions like these where you're down a pawn and you have an advantage, also space advantage and more attacking opportunities, attack more. Do not think of defending. If knight f6 in this position, think of an attacking move. Castle short is okay, but that's going to be passive. So you want to continue pressurizing your opponent until they resign. So you play pawn to e5. That attacks the knight. Oh, what if they play pawn to d6? Attacking your queen. First, you can even do this pap. So you take that pawn. If they take with the queen, what do? You exchange queens. Why? Because you know that you're going to get a free piece like that. This is why you always want to ensure that you are ahead in development and in terms of attacking when you give up some material. If black takes back with the pawn in this position, you continue looking for attacking moves. In this case, I think queen e3 is an attacking move. Why? Because if black plays queen e7 blocking the check, I can simply take on f6. Pap, they can't take my bishop because the queen is pinned to the king. So you just continue attacking like that. So that was just another mini opening study for you guys. So far, I've recommended the Italian or the bishop g5 Italian and the Scotch Gambit. That's for you beginners, intermediate level players, and average players. So imagine if you study these openings over and over to the point that you don't just memorize them, but you know them by heart. How easy can chess become? So now, let's face it. Why studying chess openings though? You may want to jot down the following points. Number 1, openings do matter, but mostly as a way to reach good middle games, period. You see, a basic repertoire lets you reach familiar structures on autopilot, and they save time and energy. One hidden factor that makes a lot of people to lose games is due to the fact that they don't know many of these openings. So they stress a lot in the opening stage, and you know, the more you think, the more you increase your chances to blunder, because it's like you're just improvising and freestyling. Your opponent already knows what they are doing because they have studied that opening, the theory behind. They already know what is supposed to be done and how their opponent is supposed to respond. But you don't actually know a particular opening that your opponent is playing. So at the end of the day, you're just going to be using a lot of energy, time, and you may end up accidentally blundering. Anywho, so you want to save time and energy, and you just want to use that opening as a ladder to help you reach a good middle game position. The actual fight is in the middle game and in the end game, not in the opening. No, that's why I said in my first video that studying openings alone won't make you improve at chess. The key word there is alone. So if I was to put it in simple terms, I would say study 20% of chess openings, 30% of middle games, and then 50% of end games. How do you study end games? Start by solving end game puzzles. Mating 1, mating 2, mating 3, end game tactics. There are books on endgame tactics, endgame puzzles, etc. Because that's where the real fight is. Sometimes your opening might be poor, but along the way, you'll be able to fix the middle game, like I did in my previous video, I demonstrated that I started with very poor opening, giving up pieces, but I ended up winning the endgame because that's where I did most of the work. Anywho, point number 2, jot this down. Why study some openings? Confidence and time management. I already spoke about that. You see the way I play with so much confidence. You see the way Hikaru plays, you see the way Magnus plays in the opening stage, or any other good player that you know. Well, the truth is, their confidence comes from the fact that they know better. So you see a Karokan player like Anish Giri not even spending any time in the opening stage. Well, it is because he has mastered the Karokan defense. He knows all the do's and don'ts. So studying a chess opening will give you confidence. It will make you become confident in what you are doing. You will stop playing guesswork in the opening stage, and it will also save you time. So knowing your first phase avoids early time sinks and puts you into your structures. That's why 90% of all the games I play, I control my games. Watch my videos, watch my live streams. I always reach the positions that I want because I command the opening lines. Anyhow, another reason why studying chess openings is very important is to memorize pawn structures. This is another hidden tip that you will not find anywhere on YouTube. It's all about pawn structures, you guys. They say pawns speak a language that most beginners don't understand. We play certain openings because we want to create a certain pawn structure that we understand better. For example, if I play the Karokan defense, I know the kind of pawn structure I want to achieve in the middle game and in the end game. In this case, I propose you start studying model games to see plans from the resulting pawn structures. Let me brag a little bit. I think I'm one of the best teachers on YouTube. Why not? I mean, another point to jot down. The best enemy of all openings is actually memorization. This is to say, don't over-memorize openings. Simple. Just know the ideas. At best, you just want to know where the pieces go or where they are supposed to go. Positions on the board might change. Your opponent may play weird moves that you didn't even study in your chess books or in your chess courses. That's where you show your tactical skills, your bold vision. Your tactical skills, you start depending on your intuition, your instincts. Like, I think let me put my king to safety first before sticking to my opening ideas again. So here is the point. Just know the ideas, the typical plan in the opening. Move order might change, but what is important is knowing where your pieces must go to or where they should sit. So starting an opening does not mean you just have to play the exact moves, the exact move order. For example, let's do this. You remember I showed you this simple opening repertoire for the Italian where you should play like this. After bishop c5, I said play knight c3, and we saw that in this position black may play knight f6, and after pawn to d3, pawn to d6. I want you to picture this. Remember, black has the two knights already out, placed like this. We also have the two knights out. The light squared bishop is out, the dark squared bishop is out. And then we just played d3 and d6. I want you to remember this position on the board because we are going to play a different move order, but we are going to reach this same position. You will see why I said don't be so invested in your openings. Move order might change. The most important thing is knowing where the pieces must sit. You see, I can start with the Zukertort opening, and this kind of prevents black from developing their pawn because I'm just going to win it for free. In this case, some of my opponents respond with knight c6, kind of a build-up move to allow pawn to e5 to happen. This is when I play pawn to e4, and this is when my opponents play pawn to e5. Move order changed. If I want to confuse them, I play knight c3. This is called the three knights opening because there are three knights already developed so far. One of the reasons I love developing the two knights first before involving any of my bishops is the game becomes so simple, and I'm 100% guaranteed that my opponent is going to copy me like this. They play the two knights defense, making this become the four knights game. You will always have this on the board. Now this is when I develop my bishop. Frankly speaking, bishop b5 is the main move. That will be another opening to study later. Before I proceed, one point to take seriously is this. never should you study too many openings. I emphasized on this point in my last video. You are just going to get confused. So there's no point for you to start studying the Ruy Lopez structures before you even understand the Italian structures. At beginner level, I would still recommend bishop c4. Even though black can take on e4, we'll look at that later. Now, some of you average opponents will respond with bishop c5. You see where the game is going. And now this is when I can go pawn to d3 if I want, and they will most likely copy me by going pawn to d6. What do we have on the board? The same previous position that we had. You see, move order may change, but the most important thing is to know where the pieces must go to. Sometimes you may start with the bishop's opening after e4, e5. Instead of playing knight f3, you first of all go bishop c4. Because at least you are guaranteed that your opponents are going to attack your undefended pawn on e4. Pep. So you have to defend that pawn like this with knight c3. And this is when you're going to see them develop their knight to c6. And now you can freely play pawn to d3. This is called the Vienna hybrid, bishop's opening. But oftentimes it may transpose back to the Italian game after you play knight f3 and black plays pawn to d6. Once again, we are back to the same position that I asked you to remember. So this means move orders might transpose, might change, but the most important thing is to know where the pieces must go or where the pieces have to sit. The two knights out, the bishop on c4 and the pawn on d3. From here, I'll just start thinking of playing my bishop g5 Italian, where I go bishop g5, if pawn to h6, I take that, if queen takes, I attack the queen. I start thinking of attacking immediately. After that, I play pawn to c3. Remember that opening repertoire, which I showed you? If bishop e6, I start celebrating because I know my opponent just blundered somehow due to pawn to d4. If pawn takes, I take back. If bishop b4 check, I take that free bishop technically because I know I'm gonna win the knight. If the knight goes back, anyway, I will play pawn to d5. That attacks the pinned knight and also the bishop. Back to the opening trick that we covered earlier. So yes, studying chess openings is not much of a stretch. But my advice is study a few of them that look alike. What I don't recommend is studying too many openings with totally different positions. For example, today you are studying the Italian game, the Italian opening. Tomorrow you are studying the Queen's Gambit. God, are you a d4 player or an e4 player? Okay, today you're studying the Italian opening and tomorrow you start studying the Catalan. What are you doing with your soul? These are two different openings with different ideas. You're just gonna confuse yourself. Stick to the Italian. So if you're studying the Italian opening, it would make sense for you to study more closely related openings like the Four Knights, the Bishop's opening, the Vienna, the Evans Gambit, openings like that. But just the Italian opening, Gioco Piano, Gioco Pianissimo is suffice for your improvement. So I'm gonna give you this roadmap. If you want to take your chess seriously and if you want to specialize in the Italian opening, I recommend you get my Italian opening course, Gioco Pianissimo, right now, which is on the screen, I believe. That is for white. And with black pieces, I recommend you study my Paris defense, E5 Paris defense. That's the response to E4. In that course, you will learn how to play against the Italian. Now with black pieces, you will learn how to play against the Scotch Gambit. You will learn how to play against most King's Pawn openings. This is not just about marketing or sales. It's also about helping each other. You're also helping this channel to survive because, we literally don't make anything out of this channel. To be honest, like financially speaking, it's very sad, but it's just the passion. With black, another course that I would highly recommend is the Nimzowitsch defense, which is on the screen right now. That's another amazing course that I can recommend. If you want to purchase all these courses, the link is in the comment section down below. So for now, I recommend 3 courses if you want to specialize in the Italian. For white, get my Gioco Pianissimo course, the Italian opening. And for black, get 2. Either the Nimzowitsch defense or the Paris defense. Those are opening courses that will make you become confident each time you play those games on Lichess, especially in the opening. What you do in the middle game and end game, that's your own baby to nurse. You need to study some end game puzzles and middle game tactics and positions and structures. So, in conclusion, let me give you a clear study plan that you may follow, and you'll be surprised to learn that studying chess openings is actually the last thing you want to do. As a beginner, first step is to focus on knowing the rules. This includes understanding the chess pieces, the different boxes on the chessboard, and how the pieces move. Next, you need to learn how to set up a board, etc. Then step number 2. Once you are acquainted with knowing the rules, start practicing. At this point, it's not a good time to learn about chess openings. No, just start playing whatever. Just start playing on Chess, on chess.com, or wherever you want to test your skills. Make as many mistakes as you want. Just start playing. At that stage, what you are doing is noticing or learning the movements of pieces and how everything is going, how your opponents are responding, where to put the knight, how the knight moves, how the bishop moves. So that's step number 2. Practice those rules, practice the rules. Then step number 3, this is when you want to start practicing tactics like mate in 2, mate in 3, endgame tactics, chess puzzles. So you start solving those random puzzles. At least by now, you are acquainted with how the moves are made, how the pieces move. So now on step number 3, take a break away from chess, and then you just start solving chess puzzles, tactics. You continue with that. Whenever you have time, of course, you can play 1 or 2 games, but tactics are different from games. So just solve tactics. They are boring, yes, but they really help in building your intuition. So study tactics, that was step number 3. And then step number 4, after tactics, I advise that you begin studying chess principles. All of them, like opening principles, middle game principles, and end game principles. If you want to learn about chess principles, follow me on Patreon, where you can join membership to any of my tiers. I have posted tens of the most important chess principles that will help you improve your chess. So simply go to my Patreon page, KaspaChess Official. The links are in the comment section down below, and begin studying those chess principles. As simple as that. Done. That was step number 4. So after studying chess principles, step number 5, this is when you can pick your role model and start studying their openings. Okay, you start studying openings of your role model, the one that suits your style of play. You don't just study all the openings in the world. Oh, you can do that at your own free time, right? Just for fun and just to be acquainted. But if you want to specialize in an opening, pick 1 or 2. You study those openings of your role models. That was step number 5. And then step number 6, go and mess up. Just go and play chess. That's all. Play more of OTB matches than online games. That's where most of us are coming from. Like I used to play in barbershops, at markets, bars, etc. in the streets, just for me to be where I am today. So those are the 6 steps for you guys. Now, of course, while you are following these steps, you can be playing your chess here and there, but this is your study plan that I've given you for free, you guys. And to pay me for this, just follow me on Patreon, get my free E5 defense course, and check out my other courses that I have. I mean, this is all I can do for you for today. Until next time, have a wonderful day, you guys, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Bye bye.